that a major breakthrough has happened with the finding of the firearms at the warehouse in West Kingston, Desmond Mackenzie's constituency in Tivoli Gardens. And I have to be careful how we bring out this information because you know how everybody depend P's and Q's these days. But Jamaica, I'm getting to understand that when containers arrive at the wharf, and you know, then distribute them to the different warehouses. In this case, the one at Industrial Terrace in Tivoli, West Kingston. I am getting information, Jamaica, that it is alleged that whenever containers destined to this particular warehouse, oftentimes it is transferred to Tivoli, areas in Tivoli, and after it is delivered in Tivoli, it is then returned, the container is then returned to this particular warehouse. Stacy and Lee. Oh, I don't want persons to spam my comment. As you can see, the viewership this morning. Happy Sabbath to you too, Jackie, and all the Sabbath keepers. I don't like when the comment section is spammed. They're always playing with my numbers over here. But who cares? I could have one somebody over here and listen. The information will be putting out there. So yes, Jamaica. What happened, Dre? Me just a thing. I'm getting information, Jamaica, that it's not the first or second. It's a pattern. Whenever instances like these happen, containers are transported to areas in West Kingston and then return to this industrial terrace warehouse. But a very interesting development took place where not only West Kingston, but Western St. Mary and it is gathered this morning, Jamaica, allegedly, let me use allegedly, that a prominent member of parliament from out of St. Mary is under investigation. Why? Investigations, Jamaica, are now showing that the 220 guns that were discovered at the warehouse in Desmond Mackenzie's constituency, West Kingston, they were destined for St. Mary. And in addition, what is alarming, Jamaica, numerous solar water heater tanks were brought into the country by a particular member of parliament from St. Mary, to which the guns were stuffed within the solar water tanks. Jamaica, this is a developing story, and as I receive more information, I will make it available. You notice me not call nobody name. Me just say a particular member of parliament is being questioned because the guns were brought into the island. They were stuffed in solar water tanks. You know, the solar water tank, the one you put on a house top to get warm water. Numerous load of them. And those were what they used to store. Remember them water tank, they heavy, you know. So it could weigh the balance with firearm. Very strategic. But Jamaica, what is equally alarming, right, is to know that no, I can't go this way yet. Can't go this way yet. Too early. How you do, Tasha? Good morning, good morning, good morning, Tasha. Jamaica, I'm getting to understand that persons are saying leave it alone because more information coming. So I'm going to leave this one. Just know that it's going down. It's going down. Make I leave this one for now. But I think the number one issue persons want to talk about is, so we soon get back to that story. Do this. The number one issue we want to talk about is what happened with Dennis Chung. By now, everybody should have heard that the Jamaica Labour Party, the Prime Minister, we saw several persons backing the appointment, such as Favour William. Yes, Favour back him, you know, because remember, is Favour's ministry. The FID falls under the Ministry of Finance. And she come out and say she stand behind him. But what is interesting, Jamaica, is that it is very suspicious what the Prime Minister and those in support of the Jamaica Labour Party did with the selection process of this man. I'm getting to understand Jamaica that what the Jamaica Labour Party did was that they rewrote the job description to fit their candidate of choice. I'm going to repeat it again. What the Jamaica Labour Party did was to rewrote the job description to fit their candidate of choice. So all along, the requirements, if you want to become the chief for the FID, the requirements are there. And if you want to fill the position, these are the requirements that you must meet and the qualifications that you must have if you want that role. All along, it was the same. Now that it is fast approaching an election, and we all know the dark cloud that sits on top the prime minister. A lot of persons talking about, the illicit sex and the corruption, this and whatever, where the prime minister now have no weight. We have to have a little bit of decency, people. Nowhere in the world you would have a prime minister under such an investigation and his or her colleagues don't ask him to step aside and clear it up and then come back. Look how long this have been taking place. If the prime minister was not guilty or if he was innocent, the prime minister would make sure that he clear up this mess. He not clear up nothing. He not take none time off to clear up nothing. It's just business as usual. The government badness. And so what they did, Jamaica, was to remove some of the qualification to suit this man. So all along the requisite qualification has always been there. But because they know the alignment of this man to the prime minister, but him not qualify in certain areas, they remove some of the qualifications needed to head the FID. And so, Jamaica, I want to share with you the original copy of the qualifications, the requirements for you if you want to apply to become the head down by the FID. This is the original copy, right? That is what was placed in the Gleaner advertisement. Anybody, somebody, we need a chief director for the FID. From last year till now, that is what has always been printed over and over. If you want to head the FID, once you have these qualifications, apply. Yes, Jamaica. So that is the original copy. You must have a postgraduate degree in management, public administration, criminal justice, law, or equivalent qualifications. In addition, you must also have at least 12 years experience in law enforcement or equivalent. You must have at least 5 years, of which should be at a senior level, experience in expertise enterprise risk management. So these are the general basic minimum requirement if you want to take up this post. Now, when you look at the qualifications of Dennis Chung, nobody no say the man no qualify. Nobody no say him no having education. Nobody no say we want better for the gentleman. Nobody no say we no want him to excel. Right? But if you are a principal for a school, Jamaica, and you find out as the principal say you need a maths teacher, right? You put out advertisements say your school desperately need a maths teacher. But everybody will apply a science them degree in a geography, Spanish, whatever. Nobody no qualify to teach mathematics. Tell me now, Jamaica, as the principal, do you think it is right for the principal, right, to turn your geographical degree or your physics degree or your English degree equivalent to that of a person holding a maths degree? Eh? I wonder if you know understand what me I say. If you are a principal and your school short one maths teacher and you put it in the paper say your school need a maths teacher or desperately seeking a maths teacher, do you think it is right for you as a principal to take someone English degree, science degree, physics, whatever the case may be, and turn it into a person with a maths degree? I don't think it is right. I don't think it is right. And if you look on the original copy of the requirements, Jamaica, you will analyze the situation that Dennis Chung no have no farmer experience in law enforcement. Him work with Jamaica Football Federation. He work at National Solid Waste Management Authority. He work about 2 other places. But whatever his experience is in, and I think he's a chartered accountant or something like that, him no have no experience in criminal justice or law. Worse, law enforcement. 12 years in law enforcement. He doesn't have that. And that is the minimum requirement asked by the FID. Now, Jamaica, if you look on the original, see Patricia Blair saying used to work at JUTC, saying work at JUTC, he work at NSWMA Solid Waste, and he's a chartered accountant, and he work at Jamaica Football Federation. That no sound like anything have to do with law enforcement, and the minimum requirement is that you have to have at least 12 years in law enforcement. You have to have experience in a money laundering. You have to have experience in these things so that when you detect it, you can raise a red flag and call them in and say, what is happening here? Him no have a clue. Now, Jamaica, me glad you no look on the original copy of the requirements, you know. What Andrew Holness Jamaica Labour Party did was to take out this piece where you see highlighted in pink and adjust it to fit their friend Dennis Chung. I'm going to repeat it. This pink area highlighted in the requirement for the job. What the Jamaica Labour Party did is to remove this pink piece of qualifications and adjust it. Make it no longer a requirement for their friend Dennis Chung. And look at what they did, Jamaica. Look at what they did, Jamaica. In addition, Jamaica Accountability Meter Portal, Miss Jenny Cudner, what she states is that the job description posted in the Gleaner way back as November 2024, it indicates the minimum requirements. The minimum, that means say these are the basic qualification you must have if you want to take up the post under the FID. Say for example, you're in a field, you teach physics, you teach maths, you teach certain subjects. Certain subjects correlate, like English literature, English language. So even if you as a principal want one English literature teacher, but you can't find none, but you have an English language teacher, you can substitute that, them correlate. Certain physics teacher can teach maths because it correlates, right? This individual, Dennis Strong, no have no formal qualification. The thing say you must have the minimum. You must have at least 12-year experience working in law enforcement. That is the minimum, the basic qualification for you to get the job, and him don't have it. Him don't have it. So how this man ended up being selected to head the FID? But in addition, what is alarming is the way in which the government conduct its affair. It is it's a corrupt practice, and it is a corrupt act. Sherrod's good morning. I want to notice how I have to take my time and talk, because how country setting is when you don't have a death and every family come from woy, so the house full. So I'm not in my element to articulate and speak out like yesterday. But no worry on yourself, by tomorrow them gone. For those of you who are just joining, I will not be long this morning. I have a funeral at 11 o'clock. I'm laying my aunt to rest. And so, if you hear me, I take me time talk, me not in my element, because I have family members left, right, and center in the house. So I hope you understand. Yes. Now I want you all to listen, Jamaica, to what went down yesterday on Beyond the Headlines with Dion Jackson Miller. She was interviewing Peter Bunting, and it was a very interesting interview that I would love for those who probably missed it. Thank you, Babette Hanniford. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. I would love for you listen carefully, Jamaica. Just listen carefully to this interview between Dion Jackson Miller and Peter Bunting.
Talking to us. Thank you so much. So we had heard from the opposition that said they intended to take this matter to court. Is that still the position? We heard that from Mr. Golding yesterday.
No, that's not what he said. I was there beside him.
Okay.
As we're looking at all the options, including that, but we did not commit to taking it to court. However, when you, in your opening, you spoke to the fact that Dennis Strong had, by his public statements, already demonstrated his biases and prejudice around the Prime Minister's cases. He was critical of the Integrity Commission report, and, well, two very important cases that the FID will have to deal with: referral for illicit enrichment and also the SSL case, which you might recall Selvin Hay, before he left the post, had said more charges, more persons were to be charged, and those charges were imminent. About 18 months have gone by, and we've heard nothing of that. So that was one. But the second, and perhaps even more compelling one, is that he's absolutely unqualified for this job. The chief technical director is not like a chairman of a board or a director of a company. They're the ones who would supervise complex investigations, sometimes across jurisdictions. They must be people who are accustomed to leading sensitive vetted units, because those of us who have worked in law, in national security, would understand that you only share intelligence to the extent you trust the other party. So even when we, for example, might have a narcotics unit that shares intelligence with our international partners, you have to be sure that the person you appoint there has been vetted to a standard that these units will feel comfortable sharing intelligence with. So when you take somebody who has no experience in law enforcement, no experience in investigating financial crimes, no experience in anti-money laundering, regulation, etc., then you're really turning the agency into a puppet show.
Hold that thought for me, Senator. I'm right at the break. Let me take the break, do a little bit of business, and come back and wrap up with Senator Peter Bunting talking to us. Remember our WhatsApp line, 876-254-0693. Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue. Questions with investigation division. Now, as I mentioned, the Gleaner published a story a short while ago noting that the post, when advertised in November, had listed as one of the qualifications minimum of 12 years experience in law enforcement. When that position was re-advertised in January, it then said 12 years experience at the managerial level. And the Gleaner also points out that former chief technical directors of the FID include former senior cops Calvin Small, Justin Felice, and Selvin Hay, the most recent head. Mr. Hay had been a deputy commissioner of police. Justin Felice had come, listeners might remember, from Northern Ireland, where he had been in the force there, and took up the position of ACP, Assistant Commissioner of Police, dealing with anti-corruption issues here. And Mr. with the opposition spokesperson for national security, Senator Peter Bunting. Senator, the finance minister sent out a statement this afternoon saying that this idea that the government is, quote, reckless and dangerous, and says Mr. Chung possesses ample, well, let me read up a little bit more, characterizing Mr. Chung. The minister says, as quote-unquote just an accountant, demonstrates ignorance as it pertains to the competency and skill set for the position, and that saying he possesses ample relevant education, experience, and skills. The minister says the selection process was transparent, the position was advertised, candidates were shortlisted and interviewed. He came out successful, and they stand firmly behind his selection, and says that due process was observed. How do you respond to the minister's response?
I think the Gleaner story, which you referred to earlier, has exposed the hypocrisy of that statement. Obviously, the post, the applications of Mr. Dennis Chung for the post. And I will tell you, even looking at the November general, it just spoke to law enforcement in general. It should have spoken to persons with experience in investigating financial crimes, people experience in supervising complex investigations across multi-agencies or multi-jurisdictions. People with specialized training in cyber intelligence collection. Even at that minimum, just enforcement and 5 years at a senior level, that they would have met that standard. But it was clearly changed to accommodate Mr. Chung.
Suppose the argument is that they didn't. Suppose the argument is that the first time around they get qualified applicants, so they adjusted the requirements.
If you don't get qualified applicants, then you go out and headhunt them. You have a whole Jamaica constabulary force. You have MOCA. You have law enforcement agencies locally that you could have gone and headhunted somebody from those. You could have even have had them seconded from the JCF if necessary, as I think was done before in some cases. So, you know, it's not like because you advertise and you don't get a desired candidate or a qualified that you just abandon the requirement for them to be qualified. Very serious. I mean, you know, this is not just politics. This can affect our whole standing in terms of the Egmont Group, in terms of the financial intelligence units globally. Nobody's going to take Jamaica's FID seriously with somebody like Dennis Chung at the head of it. And, you know, when we spoke at the press conference yesterday, I'd even forgotten another matter, another potentially disqualifying matter. You may recall, I had to be reminded, but you may recall of the JUTC back administration. He had to resign because of improprieties discovered by the contractor general in the whole procurement process. He and two other directors had to resign. This is not the type of person that you want to have leading your financial, as your chief technical director of your financial intelligence unit. That just absolutely no sense at all.
No, the particular incident you're referring to, I don't have that.
Just Google three JUTC directors resign. It was over a company, I think it was called Sembic or something like that, that Douglas Chambers, who was the then chairman, was the principal owner of and had been getting JUTC contracts. And it turned out that the procurement committee, of which Mr. Chung was one, had not followed the regulations and the procedure.
All right, sorry, I said, let me just read from the Gleaner, having reference the 3 tendered their resignations to Transport Minister Mike Henry hours after the JUTC board admitted there were breaches of government procurement guide.
Well, there you have it, Jamaica. And I'm sure it not sit well with Uno like how it doesn't sit well with myself. Good morning, Alapi. How you do?
Only work me I go do I just go look for him, that's all.
Hello. Hello. Alapi, you look like you there a bush or somewhere.
Yeah, we are
saying morning.
Good morning, man.
Yeah.
Actually, well, why with regards to where I go, I mean just it can't get any worse. To be honest, we just have to just pray and hope for the day that the day will come when we will have to do what we have to do.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, all of these appointments and what have you, thinks of corruption.
Yes.
No two ways about it. And it's as if basically the approach is to put somebody there who will just rubber stamp whatever request that they have.
Right.
And considering the sensitive matters that are there to go to the FID, and the fact that, as you mentioned earlier on today, that the man did not see it fit to walk away and clear his name, he's still holding steadfast. He still has something to hide, very much so. It is as clear as day that he is trying to cover his back. And in so doing, he is putting his henchmen and cronies, yeah,
True.
in position of high places that will, aid and abet his whole effort to, come true. And it not gonna work.
Not gonna
Our,
work.
our democracy has stood the test of time so far, and I am more than confident that come the next general election, our democracy will triumph.
Well said, Alapi. Well said,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
All right. Big
Mm-hmm.
up yourself. Big up yourself.
Good.
The entire country is in outrage about the selection of this man, Jamaica. But equally, right across the board, all kinds of people are voicing their concern. Most recently, I'm not sure if everybody know the gentleman here, DJ Kentucky, one of the better disc jockey in Jamaica, and he really said his piece. And I appreciate when prominent or citizens with influence come out and share their concerns. But DJ Kentucky is a well-known brand disc jockey. And this is what he has to say, Jamaica. Listen to DJ Kentucky and his opinion on what is happening in the country. Doesn't sit well with a lot of persons. Doesn't sit well with a lot of persons, and persons are venting, persons are speaking out, including DJ Kentucky. So let me see if I can bring up his.
I'm asking a little question. You know, if you have all of these highlights and work where this Prime Minister do in the last few minutes leading up to election was basically done in at the time them in a power till now Jamaica would be a better blood clot place. It's so obvious. Every minute you see them on TV, I beg this, I beg that, I hand out this, I hand out that, because it's close to the election now. Brother, you see interest and effort on I put in now. Try that 7, 8, 9 years ago in Jamaica, that better. You know what I mean? It only means they have to tricky people. They're not willingly for an heart. Not at all. They have to scam people. Keep on yourself in a power to keep the digital agenda afloat. This replacement. You know what I mean? People never forget about it. And they have to make it better of us, the people. Have to better feed them pocket. And look if I don't feel alive. You see me? Peer criminal around Jamaica right now. Look. I'm asking a little question. You know, if you have all of these highlights and work where this Prime Minister do in the last few minutes leading up to election was basically done in at the time them in a power till now Jamaica would be a better blood clot place. It's so obvious. Every minute you see them on TV, I beg this, I beg that, I hand out this, I hand out that, because it's close to the election now. Brother, you see interest and effort on I put in now. Try that 7, 8, 9 years ago in Jamaica, that better. You know what I mean? It only means they have to tricky people. They're not willingly for an heart. Not at all. They have to scam people. Keep on yourself in a power to keep the digital agenda afloat. This replacement. You know what I mean? People never forget about it. And they have to make it better of us, the people. Have to better feed them pocket. And look if I don't feel alive. You see me? Peer criminal around Jamaica right now. Look.
Very much so, my brother. Very much so. That's DJ Kentucky, a Jamaican disc jock DJ, voicing his concern. But Jamaica, I want you to listen also on the outrage with Dennis Strong's appointment. I want you to take a keen listen to the news as well. Just listen to this, everybody.
Government to rescind the appointment of Dennis Strong as Chief Technical Director of the Financial Investigations Division, FID. If not, there will be consequences. The opposition held a press conference today outlining their reasons Mr. Chung is unsuitable for the job.
We are giving this government 72 hours to rescind this appointment. And if they do not rescind it, there will be actions all over Jamaica.
The strident position of the opposition on the appointment of Dennis Chung as Chief Technical Director of the Financial Investigations Division, FID. Its main reason, Mr. Chung has made public comments about the Integrity Commission's report into the statutory declarations of Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. The Integrity Commission insisted that it cannot certify the Prime Minister's assets, liabilities, and income unless the FID examines the matter. The FID investigates financial crimes. Since Mr. Chung commented on the issue and is now heading to the FID, the opposition claims there's bias.
He publicly sought to take a position that's led to the impression that there was nothing amiss, there's no case to answer, everything is above board. He clearly would have a conflict leading the FID to investigate this matter. And that is why we're saying he should resign that position if he's accepted it, or the appointment should be rescinded and revoked forthwith. That we feel that this appointment is itself a corrupt act because it's furthering what we believe is going to be an attempted cover-up of this matter.
Next reason, Mr. Chung's credentials. In announcing the appointment, the Finance Ministry said he is a certified public accountant and has bachelor's and master's degrees in accounting. Mr. Chung held several senior roles in his 35-year career, including financial controller and consultant. He has worked at Air Jamaica, Supreme Ventures, and more recently as General Secretary of the Jamaica Football Federation. Dennis Chung has also been a director at the Bank of Jamaica and other public and private institutions.
If we look at the history of individuals who have been charged to lead certainly the FID, you'll see persons who have extensive backgrounds in either law enforcement, financial crimes, anti-money laundering, etc. This is the first time that an individual, while having general accounting and management experience, would be leading the FID without specific investigative experience.
By comparison, Dennis Chung is a weak and unsuitable candidate for this post. And when you look at the January 2025 ad for this post, you will be surprised to see that it looks like a generic management or administrative post, rather than for someone who is a chief technical director in a financial investigative unit.
Very well so. Very well so. Weak and unsuitable Sandra White. I am happy this stance the opposition take. 72 hours is more than enough time. But knowing the labor rights, they don't want to seem weak and vulnerable to know that the opposition would have caused them to strike down an individual who they claim is fit and proper. So you just look for them to stoop low, but it's not what they say in Jamaica, it's what the people say. And a lot of persons don't understand the difference when someone is elected to a post or when someone is selected. In this case, this man, you and I don't have nothing to do with this man, you know. The Prime Minister and him party select him for the obvious reason. Does the reasons sit well with Jamaican people? Absolutely not. Anyhow, TVJ, CVM, NNN, any one of the news outlets, them go in the 14 parish and walk the street and just ask persons what them think about this man's appointment by the Prime Minister to the FID. And I'm sure it will not sit well with Jamaicans. And the labor rights, them don't see anything wrong with it. I tell you, there has been a decay in integrity and accountability in this country thanks to this government. Since the Jamaica Labour Party take government almost 10 years now, when it come on to accountability and corruption, we have never seen the blatant corruption on display like this Jamaica Labour Party government. It gets worse, Jamaica. Listen to this.
Was removed from the requirements for a chief technical director of the FID when the job was advertised earlier this year. The development comes as the government continues to face criticisms over the selection of Dennis Chung as the chief technical director of the Financial Investigations Division, FID, which investigates financial crimes. As Andrea Chisholm reports, the government is standing by the decision to select Dennis Chung.
This was one of the advertisements for the position of Chief Technical Director of the FID. Job purpose: to guide the strategic, operational, and administrative policies, programs, and systems of the FID in combating money laundering, terrorist financing, proliferation financing, corruption, and recovering assets obtained from crime or used in the commission of crime. The incumbent is also the chief policy advisor to the Political Directorate on Financial Crimes and should formulate relationships to satisfy Jamaica's international obligations. When the job was first advertised in the Sunday Gleaner in November 2024, 12 years experience in law enforcement or its equivalent was required, and a minimum of 5 years at a senior level of law enforcement or equivalent. But when the job was advertised again in January 2025, it said the ideal candidate should have a postgraduate degree in management, public administration, criminal justice, law, or equivalent qualification. 12 years experience, 5 of which at the senior management level. Problem-solving, leadership, and governance skills are also required, as well as knowledge of government's procurement guidelines, law enforcement, legislation, and binding agreements. As reported in Primetime News Thursday, the opposition had issues.
If we look at the history of individuals who have been charged to lead, certainly the FID, you'll see persons who have extensive backgrounds in either law enforcement, financial crimes, anti-money laundering, etc. This is the first time that an individual, while having general accounting and management experience, would be leading the FID without specific investigative experience.
By comparison, Dennis Chung is a weak and unsuitable candidate for this post. And when you look at the January 2025 ad for this post, you will be surprised to see that it looks like a generic management or administrative post, rather than for someone who is a chief technical director in a financial investigative unit.
Former FID bosses included senior police officers such as Calvin Small, Justin Felice, and Selvin Hay. Robin Sykes, who once worked at the Bank of Jamaica, is an expert in anti-money laundering and counter-financing of terrorism. The opposition is therefore calling for Dennis Chung to be replaced as the new head of the FID. The chartered accountant with a 35-year career in senior management roles in both the public and private sectors should take up the FID position on Monday, June 2. In a release on Friday, Finance Minister Favour Williams said characterizing Mr. Chung as just an accountant demonstrates ignorance about the competency and skill set required for the position. She said Mr. Chung has ample relevant education, experience, and skills for the position. Minister Williams adds that it would be reckless and dangerous for the government to insert itself into a meritorious process which included advertisement and interviews. The selection process was transparent, the position was advertised, candidates were shortlisted and interviewed, and Mr. Chung was successful. She said the government stands firmly behind Mr. Chung's selection on the basis that due process was observed. Andrea Chisholm, TVJ News.
And as reported, the opposition PNP took issue with Mr. Chung's comments about the Integrity Commission's report on Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. The Integrity Commission insisted that it cannot certify the Prime Minister's assets, liabilities, and income unless the FID examines the matter. The report stated that companies linked to the Prime Minister had filed nil tax returns for periods between 2021 and 2022. This was Mr. Chung on Primetime News on September 18, 2024.
Based on what I see, I wouldn't say that there's anything to be alarmed about, right, from just what is in the report. We need to get more details because the truth is that, you know, as the DPP once wrote in a report, everyone is entitled to their reputation. So you have a burden as someone investigating to show the facts of the case. So I have no reason to doubt it right now. If it's a nil return, you know, I expect that the Income Tax Department, TJ, would have actually done their assessment of it when it was filed, and it was filed 21-22, right? Which means that they would have time to have looked at it, and maybe something was wrong. They would then respond.
And now that Mr. Chung is heading to the FID, the opposition claims there's a perception of bias and he should not take up the post of Chief Technical Director of the FID.
Well, what I want to go down there with them, don't see nothing wrong with it. He will be out in a few months. And now when time them buying up contracts and put him there for 7 years, he will only be there for a few months. Because I know under new People's National Party government, he will not be staying down there at the FID. And we're still waiting to find out who were the other candidates that were shortlisted. And I would love for them to come out and speak. Because I don't think persons could have seen the basic minimum requirements. I don't think persons would have really look and see the basic minimum requirements for this position and still make a fool of themselves and go apply and know so them not qualify. I would love to see the other shortlisted candidates because you can't tell me, say you see one list of requirements and you apply, knowing say you not qualify. I would love for the other persons who applied to come forward and present their qualification. What if persons applied and them really have the 12 years experience in a law enforcement? We want to see the comparison to see why they were not selected but then choose Dennis Chung without the 12-year experience in law enforcement. These are the things you'd expect an accountable government to do. Not true? These are the you'd say, all right, the government is accountable and they're transparent, and clearly it not sit well with the people in the country. So make we be transparent as possible. Guys, from last year, 2024, we have been advertising for the head of the FID. Over 10 persons apply. We shortlisted 10 because all of them never have the qualifications. From 10 persons who apply, we narrow it down to the top 3. Of the top 3, they were so-and-so and so-and-so. We made our decision to select Dennis Chung because he has the more experience. Okay, fair enough. Make the other 2 persons who make the top 3 come out, come show with them qualification. Because I think nobody in their right mind could have said, you know, say that place I look for persons do, but for you to get the job, you have to have information per orange, apple and tomato, and still go up, they go apply. Say, yes, me have experience in an apple and orange and tomato, and no, say they don't have no experience in an apple and orange and tomato. Something is wrong. I would love for the other persons, the other applicant them, who did apply like Dennis Chung, to see the reason why they turn them down. I would have loved to see for them resume and their application. Because I feel them turn down persons who were qualified to put up the money because the money in a Andrew back pocket. Yeah. Jamaica people, these are the things where we must look into. And you know the sad thing about it, them kind of thing here we have to do with integrity and trust and accountability. A lot of people now look on them here kind of issues, you know. All them look on, oh, what the PNP talk about every day when you talk about time come for what? Time come for have little ounce of integrity. Yeah, time come for people can trust the elected representatives them. Look on this a major national issue here. The Prime Minister have been under investigation and him not forthcoming with him not cooperate with the IC and then refer him to the FID. And look at where we're at now, Jamaica. Look at where we're at now. And you have persons, the one side, no see nothing wrong with this, you know. All them depend, oh, and just statutory declaration and in 28 bank account, them they are nothing. We want to hear what the opposition are come with every day on the depend. Time come for what? Come on, people. Time come for we have little morals, little values. It is a shame where we're at as a country under this Jamaica Labour Party. It is a shame. And we know the country turn, you know. We know the country has shifted. So we are asking Jamaicans this time. If you never vote before, come out, come vote. Get involved in the process. This is the only way to put an end to all of this, Jamaica. And it makes no sense in the day. Every day I talk about how the country hard and things this and things that. On the day on the yard, and don't take part. You must take part in the process, Jamaica. Right? And with that said, Jamaica, this is where I have to leave it for today. As I said, I would only be here for an hour. So I just hope persons respect, you know. I have a death in the family and the funeral starts at 11 a.m. And you know when country I have funeral and John Tom left from town, come at the bathroom full, I'm in the wine at the excitement. So this is where I have to leave it for today, Jamaica. Thank you guys for the condolences. I really appreciate it. But the word is love. Chico, I laugh at the truth. You know how it go when you have death in the family and everybody left town, come a country. And you have to share. You don't used to it, but you know, family is everything and we have to adjust. Not true. So I'm asking everybody, want to just continue to hammer the message home. Want to come off of the labor right platform, the man in an argument with them because the labor rights are desperate and they know say time come and they are shameless. Jamaica, the word is love. Take care and see you guys on Monday, 9 o'clock, same time. All right? Big up on yourself. The word is love.